Last time on the Just Create SMP, I started working on a huge underground workshop for bulk pressing everything. And as you can see, we got started with a whole bunch of bulk processing presses, mixers, we've got smelters and smokers and hunters and washers, we've got crushing wheels set up, and we've even got a sawing system set up. But there's a whole bunch more I need to add in here, including grinding, waxing, weathering, composting and crafting, as well as a whole bunch of individual setups for making things like brass and andesite alloy and barrels and vaults and all of those sorts of good stuff things. Yes, good stuff things. That doesn't make any sense at all. Basically, what I'm trying to do is make my existing workshop completely obsolete, because it just doesn't need to be here anymore. It's a little bit of an eyesore, and half the stuff in here, well, it either isn't up to the task of doing bulk processing, or it just plain doesn't work. It is quite nice and compact though, and it is very controllable, but I want a new one, which is why we're halfway through building one. And coming back down here, the next thing on my list to produce is a grinding machine, or a bulk grinding machine. So thankfully, and here in this little box, I do have a whole bunch of grindstones, but they're not much use on their own. So we're going to need some item drains, I believe, and then I can... No? I can't remember how grindstones work. Can you just... No, go back to my old workshop and find out. You see, grindstones are not part of Base Create. They're from the Enchantment Industries add-on, which means I'm relatively unfamiliar with how they work, even though I've already got a setup down here that does it. And as you can see, what we need is basically a system to put items through them, and then they get ground down. And they don't really get ground down, it's more like sandpaper. They get polished. You can do rose quartz on these things, you can send copper through to get the honey off, or the wax. They're just kind of handy, but they're also very, very slow. But how did I put this one in here? A grindstone drain? I got a drain and I got grindstones. Do I do it in the world? Okay, let's try this. If I throw that there and then... there we go. I just have to click it in there. Well, that's nice and easy then. So the grindstone setup's going to be quite similar to this press one. We're going to have a singular input. We're going to split that over 9 different belts, and then they're going to go through 9 different grindstones, come out and go into a single output. Easy. And that means we're only going to be using half of the space of the next chunk that we're going to be working in. So I wonder, can I fill the other half of that chunk with something that's similar to grinding? Crushing wheels? No. Like that, it's good for like unwaxing things. So what if I was to put the waxing in the same chunk as the grinding? That should be fine. So for that, I'm going to need deployers, and I've only got 3 honeycomb blocks. So I'm going to need a lot more honey than that. But I think that's all we need to make a double setup. So as usual, we're going to start with a row of these blocks, 9 along like that, and then we're going to have one of our inputs here. Then we're going to need 9 lots of belt, and on those belts we're going to put a whole bunch of tunnels. Over here we can throw on our brass funnel and our packager, and then we can stick on a frog. At this point here, we can throw on all of our item drains, stick our little grindstones into those item drains, and then we're going to need another set of grindstones on top of those. So far, so good. And then at that point there, we can literally take straight out of there and send everything into the output. So I'm going to build the wax inside of it first and see what room we've got to play with. For the waxing setup, we're going to be doing the exact same thing, but on the other side, with the funnel and lots of tunnels. And then this time, we actually want to stick the belts out a little bit like this. And then on top of those, we can stick a bunch of deployers, and we want these facing that way round so all of the shafts connect together. And we're just going to run these along all of these, just like that. Then we're going to give each one of these a block of honey. No, you can't have 3, just 1. Don't be greedy. There we go. We can do 3 of them. We need 6 more of those. And that means at this point, everything can then go out to the output. And to do that, what I'd normally do is just chuck a belt along here on this side and do the same thing along here at this side. But now I got too much of a gap in the middle. I can definitely bring these things closer together. And to be honest with you, could probably have both these just coming onto one belt to come out. Rather than moving the whole things about, I'm just going to make these things slightly less compact in order to sort of bring them a little bit closer to the middle. And in order to do that, I'm just going to extend the belts on both sides and then just sort of move the grindstones, which I've already done on that side, and then the deployers on this side. There we go. And now we've got a nice gap in the middle for a couple of belts that can come over here to a little vault here with our output frog on it, which is going to connect to that. And only send packages. This frog, of course, needs an address, which is FNT storage. Then it just needs a redstone link on there. with a bit of green wool and a timer so that it only sends items out of here every 10 seconds or so to stop this system just sending one item per package. Now all we need is power. Lovely. Well, that was easy, wasn't it? Right, let's go and grab some power from this over here. Let's bring that down. I can't reach it. There we go. Down to the bottom. And we'll do the usual bit of chain drive across there. That's going backwards, so we'll stick a gearbox in there. We'll bring it all the way across the back over here. We can then plug that one into there, and then obviously we're going to need... Oh, did they all... What? They're not connect together? If I spin that one round and then stick that in there, that one spins, but the one next to it doesn't. They not go together? What sort of... What stupid system is this? Why have you only got a shaft on one side? Well, that sucks. Okay, right. In that case, we're not having waxing and grinding on the same system. We're going to have two... Oh, don't go in the grinders, mate. I need you. You're very precious to me. We're going to have two sides set up just for grinding. Oh, geez. In order to achieve that, that's going to be quite tricky because we're going to have one of these every other block, and then we're going to have to come up under the floor to power each one of these individually. That means then we're going to have items coming through these tunnels going to somewhere they can't go, which means I then need to push that back and put something in its way so that nothing can come through those ones. So we're effectively wasting 9 tunnels in this setup, which is a little bit annoying. Why'd they make the grindstones like this? It's so dumb. You're dumb. Okay, we've now got 10 lots of grindstones in here. I only actually wanted 9, but that's absolutely fine. And now what I'm going to have to do is smash through the floor into the little crawl space down here on both sides and get all of these connected to some power. And the easiest way to do that is bring some chain drive down from there, bring that across here like that, put some more chain drive there, another one of those, a little bit more chain drive there, another one of those, and so on and so forth until we get to the end. Then all I need to do is exactly the same thing on the other side. And now when I reconnect the power, all of those should spin. But of course, these ones are now spinning in the wrong, or at least one of those is spinning in the wrong direction. In order to get the top ones connected, all we need to do is run some shafts through each one of those because they'll actually connect together. So that's nice and easy. All right, let's just throw a speed controller on there temporarily. And then let's just bring this out nice and slowly so we can see what we're doing. It looks to me like that's going in the right direction, so we need that going in the opposite direction. So the way we could achieve that is to bring this bit of chain drive up there like that, stick one of those on there, and then we can just connect all of those together. And I assume that means that that's going to work. I haven't really got anything I can throw through it to see if it works. So maybe if I was to throw some spruce logs into there, that would do something. I need to just get these belts powered quickly. So let's just stick a couple of shafts in there. Oh, it made the noise. I think that worked. In that case, we need to do exactly the same thing on this side, but this time the bottom ones need alternating round, and the top ones then need to be in the opposite direction to that, which if I do... No, that's not going to work. Oh, geez, this is going to be more complicated, isn't it? Well, I'll tell you what, I'm just going to wire it up in exactly the same way as I did the other side. And then what I'm going to do is get rid of this line over here, so we don't need this. And then I'm going to tidy this up a bit and make it work better. So these need to go opposite. So let's have one of those there and one of those there. We'll stick a gearbox there and a shaft there. That'll make those do opposite things. And now what I can do is bring some more chain drive down to that, which would actually end up linking up with what we've got going on there if this was facing in the right direction, a little bit like that. And then if we bring some shaft along there, they're all going backwards, but that's fine. Okay, no problem, because what we also need to do is stick one of those in there and then plug that into there. Now they're going the right way, they're going the right way, they're going the right way. Now all we need to do is connect these ones over here. If I spin that around and put that on there, they're going the right way. So the only things that are not are these, which we're going to have to power probably from this end where we've actually... Oh, we can. Yeah, we can. Put that there and that there, and it's backwards. But if we put that there and that there, perfect. Lovely. Our system works. So if I was to throw in a few spruce logs onto there, they're going to get split, They're going to go through and they're going to come up this belt. Wonderful. Oh, that worked perfectly. I did it, but it's not finished because, of course, we've now got 2 inputs for a single bulk processing machine, which just won't do. We just want 1 input frog, which feeds both sides of this, and that's going to be a little bit more tricky. Well, it turned out doing that was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. I've basically got a frog going into a vault with funnels either side, which will distribute the items out both ways. They go down onto a smart chute, which will then send the items through these tunnels. They'll get split, go into the right places, and then all go out there. At least I think they will. The only way to find out is to test it, but I don't have enough items to throw into this thing completely, so I'm actually going to just reduce this to 16 on each side, so that way when I throw in 54 logs, they should actually go out both ways. Let's just throw on a temporary funnel there, throw in our logs, and there we go. Look at that. That was fast. Jeez, that was very fast. It worked! So there we go. We now have a fully working 100% complete bulk grinding setup, which means next is waxing. And for that, I need honey. And for that, I need Mr. Beardstone. And for that, I need... Mr. Beardstone's having a baby. Never online anymore. Oh, my goodness. I'm going to have to steal it because it's his own fault for having a baby. I'm going to have to steal the honey. There's no other way around it. Before we go stealing, however, there's something I desperately need to do. You see, every time I fly over from our new area back to my old workshop, I load in my boat, which is in the distance, and every time that boat loads in, I get a big old lag spike. It only does it the first time I load it, but at that point it stays loaded and my PC likes to die a little bit on the inside. And the only way I can stop my PC from being very upset and running at a very high temperature and with loud fan noises is to log out completely. And then when I log back into the world and head back over towards this area, you will see as those chunks load, all of a sudden, well, it wasn't quite so bad this time, but it's annoying. It's very annoying that my computer's having to do a whole bunch more work than it should just because my laggiest boat in the world exists. So it's time to move it away where it's not going to upset anyone. In order to move it a very long way away, there's a couple of things I can do, potentially. I don't know if one of them is going to work, but we're going to try. However, in order to do either of the things that I would like to try to do, I'm going to need to get this boat out of the water. Okay, let's add in some temporary tracks sticking out the side of that a little bit further and see if we can't shift our boat over to there where it should. Oh, it's not long enough. Try again, and hopefully it won't interfere. There we go, with the trees anymore. This is good. Excellent. Next, what I need to do is add a station onto here so that I can disassemble the boat, which means I now need to park it at that station. Use my little blaze burner. There we go. We have arrived at the track station. Now I can disassemble my boat, build a little bit of a platform out here like this. Now what I need to do is get rid of this bogey, get rid of this track, pop down a little bit of rail with a minecart assembler, unlock rotation, stick a minecart down, put a block on top, and that should be glued to the boat, which is all connected. Now I want to try and pick it up, but I don't think it's going to let me. We're going to try our best. It did! I have a boat in my pocket! No more boat! I can't believe it let me pick it up. Oh, that's incredible. Good. Stupid boat has gone. The other option I was going to have to do was to basically lay even more track down underwater and drive it far, far away. But no, that's way easier. That means I can come in here, put this on the anvil, rename it, and then I'm going to put it on the wall to remember, don't use this boat. Jeez, stupid boat. And it didn't work, it never worked properly. Just been laggy from day one. So annoying. Jeez. Right, honey stealing. Now, I've not actually finished watching Mr. Beardstone's latest video yet, but in that video, he built a big old honey farm, and I'm assuming he built that over at his base. So we're going to fly directly over to his base and find out. Oh, that looks new. That looks very new. I'm going to assume it's honey. It is! Excellent. Here, have some apples. I took some honey. Stam. Oh, okay. So Stam's now buying honey for apples. I'm not sure Mr. Beardstone wants to sell honey for apples, but I just want to steal some honey blocks. There is not those types. I want the wax. Those ones. He's only got 17 of them. Oh no, some fell out. Oh dear. Oh, that's a shame. Oops. Oh, how did that happen? Oh, and I crafted some more with the ones that fell out. Oh dear. Oh no. Oh dear. Oh, it's okay. I'm going to give him some honeyed apples as a reward. There you go, Mr. Beardstone. Thank you very much for your honey. Goodbye, sir. And now that we've legitimately purchased some honey from Mr. Beardstone, I can finally build those waxing machines, which is exactly the same as what we did before. And there we go, just like that, it is done. Nice and easy, exactly the same thing we've done everywhere else, but this time we're using the deployers with the honey blocks, and all I need to do is add power to those deployers, which means I need to come in here, stick a little bit of chain drive just there, and that is done. And in order to make this thing not look completely wonky, I'm just going to add a couple of blocks there as well on that side, and now it's complete. But of course, now we've got a bunch of extra space in this chunk, but I'm not sure it's going to be big enough to add in the other part of this process that I would like to add here. Another process primarily for dealing with copper blocks, and it's incredibly slow, and also makes the worst noise in the world. This little machine here is basically just a water spout on top of a conveyor, and when you put copper blocks through it, they get weathered. As you can see, they're going through. Each time it squirts, it weathers it once, and it is probably the slowest. It's stopped. Oh, it's run out of water. But anyway, yes, it's the slowest machine in the world. So if we want to weather copper in bulk, we're going to need a whole bunch of these things setting up. And I'm pretty sure we can set it up in exactly the same way as we've done everything else. So I'm going to do that very quickly. And there we go. We now have a 100% complete weathering machine. It looks like it's going to fall over. Let's just add a little bit of support here. We'll have some girders coming up to the top like this, and then we'll just bring these across underneath those lanterns there. Bring those all the way across there. Why don't we stick them on the wall so they have a bit of support there? We'll have a little bit of girder coming down here like this. We'll stick on some clamps to those like that. Yes, that works. Some clamps up above as well, and yeah, that I think that's kind of almost works, apart from the fact that we can't really put clamps on those. That'll do. But it won't do. You see, this is all good for weathering one stage. For instance, if I put copper through there, then I'll get exposed copper. Then if I put exposed copper through it, I'll get weathered copper. And then if I put weathered copper through it, I of course get oxidized copper. But realistically, it's not very often that I want the weathered or the exposed copper. I either normally want the normal blocks of copper, or I want the oxidized blocks of copper. So, in order to achieve that, what we really need to do on here is actually have more spouts. But I don't want every single one of these to have triple spouts. I kind of only want it on some, but then I'm going to need multiple inputs, and then that's going to significantly lower our rates. What I'd really like to be able to do is send packages over and then somehow adjust this machine so it only weathers to a certain stage. But that's too complicated for me right now. I'm sure it's possible, but in this scope of this video, that ain't going to happen. I think what we ought to do is just leave it as it is and then just run things through various times. That's nice and easy. Yes, that'll do nicely. You made all that fuss and you're not doing anything about it? Yeah. I don't need to do anything about it. It's fine. If I want oxidized copper, I stick it through the machine 3 times. Easy. No problem, mate. And then there's no complications, no fuss about anything, you know? Everything's just nice and simple. You're nice and simple? Well, at least you said I'm nice. I just meant simple. No, you said nice. Oh. Shh, no swearing. So at this point now, our bulk processing side of things are nearly complete. Looking at my list, we just have composting and crafting to do. And then all the things on the other side. But mainly, we just got composting and crafting to do. And I definitely think we can fit composting in one of these chunks here, even though they do take up significantly more room. Because composters and create don't play ever so well. In vanilla Minecraft, a composting setup is quite a big beast. You need a couple of hoppers, a couple of barrels or chests, and a composter. And you would put your carrots in the top, and eventually they will make their way through the hopper into the composter, occasionally filling it up and creating bone meal, which then gets sucked out by the bottom hopper and put into this barrel here. It works, but it's very slow and it takes up a whole bunch of space. With Create, we can do something very similar with chutes like this. We can put our carrots in. They're going to go 16 at a time through there, which means that they do fill up the composter a little bit quicker, generating us bone meal a little bit faster. But it's really not that much faster, and realistically, it's still just as cumbersome. So really what we want to be able to do is something like this, where we have our input barrel with our carrots in it, then a conveyor belt taking the items into the composter, and then the finished bone meal out and into here. But in all my previous attempts to make this work, it never did. But let's see if Create 6 changes this. Let's stick on a conveyor belt. Let's get it going the right way. And there we go. Carrots are going in, and no, they will not go into the composter from the side, which sucks. But the question is, if we fill this thing up with actual compost, can the machine then take it out? It has created compost, and no, the funnel can't take it out either, which also sucks. So what we need to come up with is the most compact design we can think of to automate getting items through a composter and the bone meal out the other end. Challenge accepted. How hard could it be? What could possibly go wrong? Either way we look at this, we're probably going to have a chute below the composter and above it. So it's really about minimizing how much space this takes up. Now what we could do is run a belt underneath that chute there, and then at the top we could have a belt coming down next to this chute, fetching things in from our barrel, which is further down, and then bringing this up to a barrel, which is further up. But realistically, that hasn't saved as much space at all. But what about using mechanical arms? Can an arm take from a composter? It can. Can an arm put into a composter? It can. Well, this could be interesting. So what if we had ourselves a little depot here next to our barrel with a funnel coming out which drops our carrots onto the depot. Next to that we could have our little composter just there, and then on the other side we could have another little barrel with a funnel going in. Then all we need to do is tell this mechanical arm to pick up from here, deposit in there, and stick that maybe on top of that barrel. Actually, we can make this even smaller. If we grab our barrel and put that down there, we can then just have a chute going into it from there, and a second arm would then pick up from there, put it in there, and that could, I guess, well, it could live right next to that one, I suppose. Now, if we were to give these mechanical arms some power, are they going to do what I want them to do? Let's find out. No target. How have you... But did I give you targets? Try again then. Okay, we're picking up from there, and we're depositing into there. On your marks, get set, go. It's doing it. It is very slowly putting the cow. Well, that's going to take a long time, but it is doing it. What if we put this on full speed? Okay, it's not too bad. I mean, it's not as fast going in as it would be sending them in via a chute, but it is very slowly generating bone meal. But is the other one going to take out the compost? It is. Okay. So I don't think we want an input arm doing that, because that's going to take forever. But certainly an output arm to take the compost out could speed things up significantly. But what other choices have we got? Now, this might seem counterintuitive, but if we had a chute on the floor there and then a funnel coming out of that and then the composter on top, if we start feeding this thing carrots, do we get bone meal coming out of that chute at the bottom? We do. So we can take items directly out of there via a funnel onto something like a belt. Which means we could have a belt set up with a chute on it and a funnel with a barrel at the end and a funnel in there, and then we could take away the items from our composter directly on a belt into there. But then we don't actually, we don't need that funnel at all, because that's just going to put it on the belt anyway, so it's not saving us any room at all. We've still got to get the items into there, and we know we can't put them in from the side. Oh, there's got to be a faster way of putting items in there. Let's start with an upwards belt going into the side of a chute, which is directly on top of a composter. Then we put our barrel there, and because I don't want this much higher than that for no reason other than tidiness, I'm going to put a depot there with a funnel going in. Then if I tell it to take from there and drop onto there, I can then hide the mechanical arm under there, not taking up very much room at all. And now we've got a system that's pretty much the same size as the one I wanted in the first place. So let's see if it's actually going to work. We need to power that. Then we just need to power that cog, make that on maximum speed. And, well, things are going already. Let's grab some carrots, stick them into this barrel. And now we have what seems to be a relatively swift bone meal making machine. It's probably not as fast as just having another belt under there, taking the bone meal directly out, because there is going to be some delay with the mechanical arm, but not much. And this is tileable as well. That's what I need. And there we go, a fully tileable 9 composter system that basically does exactly the same as all of the other things do in my area. We've just got 3 mechanical arms because I'm sure they're more than capable of keeping up with all 9 composters because it takes a while to generate the compost. We've got our input vault over here, which would have a frog on, and our output vault over there, which would have a frog on. But for the sake of this test, I'm just going to stick a chute on there, a creative crate on top, and I'm going to just set that for carrots. And now we're going to get an absolutely ridiculous amount of carrots coming through this thing. And we should, I don't know how, what? How are we getting carrots? Why are you picking up carrots, sir? Oh, I told you to pick up from completely the wrong place. Yeah, this needs to pick up from there and put onto there. They just there we go. Now it's going to only do bone meal, but there we go. That works. We've got a bone meal system that doesn't look to me like it's backing up. And if we have a look in there, we can see a little bit more of what's going on with those composters and just see how quickly it actually takes before they do. Yeah, as soon as it's bone meal, it's pretty much gone. Oh yes, that works nicely, albeit a little bit noisy. But why have 9 composters when I can have 18? As you can see, I have built exactly what we built on the test world, but I've doubled it up, so we've got 18 composters, 9 on each side with our input system at the back and our output system at the front. And well, apart from this belt in the middle not being connected to anything, can't see any reason why it won't work. You know, I should probably connect this belt though. It's slightly tricky because there's things all the way around it. So I think what I'm going to have to do is extend it back a little bit behind one of the edges. We've got power there and power there. That's the one we want. So let's just bring that back. Stick a bit of that on there. Stick a bit of that there and there. Tidy that up and put those back there. And now everything is ready. And it looks wonderful. Amazing. Time to tick another one off the list, which means I've only got one more bulk processing thing to do. And that's all of my bulk processing complete. And I've been saving this one to last because it's going to be rather awkward, because it's bulk crafting, and bulk crafters are a little bit unreliable at times. So let's go and see what we've already done to get an idea of how much room we need for each one. Over here we've got my most recent one, which is probably the most compact one I've done. We've got a 3x3 crafting grid, which is all joined together at the back. And in order to feed items into those, we've got a frog sat on a barrel, which takes packages, puts the packages directly in there. As you can see, it's still got some left in there. That then goes through a repackager, which puts things like these together in order to create what we're looking to create. And then that goes through this chute into another packager to take the items out of the package, which puts them into the crafting machine, which then crafts them, and then they go into here, which this frog then takes and puts back in the storage system. But as you can see, it doesn't always work. This is supposed to be making vaults, and we've got barrels there, and we've got iron sheets here. But for whatever reason, the repackager just doesn't want to repackage them. Don't ask me why, it just does that sometimes, which is why it's not the best system in the world. Over here, if we look at this one, which was the first one I added in, it's basically the same system, but takes up an awful lot more space because, well, it was the first one I ever built and I didn't really know what I was doing. But if we look inside of this one, there are no packages that are just stuck in there, which is a lot better. I don't know the difference here. We're doing exactly the same thing, but for some reason this one isn't backed up, which is weird because that's the one that's normally backed up, and this one is, which is weird because this is the one that normally isn't. But let's not worry about that. Let's just assume everything's going to work perfectly and get building them in this chunk right here, right now. But wait, there's a problem. Currently, every single one of the systems we've created works with items. We have a singular input, the items get distributed through tunnels to get split evenly, and then they get processed, which is great because that means we only need one input and one output for every single type of bulk processing we're doing. But unfortunately, crafters don't work with items, they work with packages. As we've already discussed, the crafters use packages directly to be repackaged and then packaged once again to go into there as items, directly from the packages. If I said packages too many times. Which means in order to have an input system for this that can then feed multiple crafters, we're going to have to deal with packages and not items. And that's going to cause us a problem. I've got to go all the way back to the other one now. The problem mainly being that packages can only come out one at a time through brass funnels, whereas items can come out at up to 64 at a time, and we can't split packages using tunnels because, well, they can only go through one at a time, so we can't throw a whole bunch of them in and have them all come out separately. And that's assuming that all of the items are already in the right packages and they don't need repackaging. So how are we going to deal with this? And for this one, we're actually going to do things back to front slightly rather than either side to side. At the moment, all of our machines have the output at the front, but this one I want the input at the front because I want to be able to see how many packages have not been repackaged and get them out easily. So let's assume this is going to be our front. We would have our input vault just at this point here, kind of like what we've got going everywhere else. But instead of having a funnel coming out of that, this is where we need our repackager, and that's going to repackage anything that's not correctly packaged inside of that vault. And to get packages in here and not items, we do not want a packager on top. This time we just want the frog directly on top. So let's hook the frog up to the line, throw it on there, and we'll call this FNT craft. So now when packages come along to this thing, they're going to go inside here as packages, and then they're going to get repackaged here, and that's where we're going to start distributing things. But there's a problem with this, and that is I can't see what's inside a vault very easily because vaults don't have an access to them. They don't have an inventory system like chests and barrels or shulker boxes. I can click on this, get the items out, or put them in. I can't do that with a vault. And I really need to see what's in there in case there are any things in there that haven't properly been packaged back together again and they're just stuck forever, like I had in my other system. So really what we want under here is not a vault, but a double chest. You could use a stock thing. I could use a stock thing, but a chest's easier. So let's get rid of this. Throw on one of those, and we'll just have to put up with the fact that there's a big gap between the frog and the chest. Why am I using a chest and not a barrel? Well, because if I use a chest, we can fit more packages in it, and there's going to be a lot of packages coming to this thing if we're doing bulk crafting. Anyway, once we've got the packages in the chest and then they've gone through the repackager, we're going to need to take those out so that we can split them around all of the different crafters. So first of all, let's just bring them out on a little bit of belt that way, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a belt that goes the entire way round this little chunk square that we've got, just like that. So now we've got sort of a belt carousel that the packages can go round and round and round and round on until they're collected by a crafter. And now all we need to do on here is basically build our crafters, however we're going to build those on the inside of this sort of carousel thing, stick a packager on those to allow the items in, and then stick a funnel on that to get the items into that packager. And that means as the packages are coming round, they're going to get sucked into here, put into there, and then they're going to end up in our crafter. But then we still got to get them out again and sent away. I'm going to have a fiddle with it and see what I can come up with. And this is what I've come up with. We have 8 crafting systems. Each one has a packager taking the items off the belt and pushing them in. They're all going to get crafted, and ideally, if I've got this set up right, they're going to push the finished items onto these belts, which will then come out to here. This is our little output frog who's going to send the items back to storage. I think that should work. Possibly. The only thing I'm slightly concerned about is the fact that the crafters come out at this point here and may not drop items onto the belt, so we might have to actually switch those around so that we've actually got this one pushing onto the belt. But either way, I think it should work. All we need to do now is actually get power to this thing to make it work, and that's going to be difficult as well, because I haven't really left anywhere to get power to these belts, so that's going to be fun. But let's see what we can do. And speaking of power, I got a comment from my last video telling me how stupid I am. And the comment's right. Currently, I've been connecting all of these bulk processing systems directly to the chain drives that come down from the ceiling, which is stupid, and I don't like it. And I didn't want to do that in the first place. And why did I do that when I went to all the effort of creating this crawl space between the floors where power is directly there? Why did I do it? Because I'm stupid, and I totally forgot about the fact that there's power down here. So yes, I would like to actually change all of that, but I'm not going to do that now. I'm going to get my crafters sorted out, and then I worry about that. Jeez, what a moron. Well, there's no reason we can't do that over at this one, so we might as well just pop down here and grab some of that power that's on the wall directly there. A little bit of chain drive, ideally. Oh, come on. Just connect, mate. Coming up like that. There we go. And that just happens to be going in the right direction for that belt, so that's good. We do need to then connect this belt, which means we need to extend that and stick a gearbox there. And then put a little shaft in there. There we go, lovely. And we need to stick that one out a bit, just like that, and put a gearbox there. And then that's that one. That's very good. Yes. Then we can stick that one out a bit and put a gearbox there. And that's that one. So that's all of the outside belts sorted out. That's good. For the inside belt, it's not going to be too tricky, actually. What we do need to do is come over from maybe here, stick a little bit of shaft in there, bring that over this way to then join in with these belts. Whee! There we go. And then I just need to concentrate. Oh, no, I'm going round. And then I just need to get this one connected, which is slightly more tricky. Get a little bit of chain drive coming up this way like this. We spin those round, lovely, and then put one of those on there. Is it going to go the right way? It's not. Of course it's not. Why would it go the right way? That'd be too convenient. All right, we'll do it on the other side then. Fine. Put our chain drive up this side so I can't see what's going on in the packager. Not a problem. And then I put the gearbox on there and voila! We have everything going in the right direction. The only thing not powered now are these. So I guess let's just stick on some cogs along the top like this. Get some shafts in between those. And then we just need to connect these to some power, which we can just do from the back with a little bit of chain drive. Popping up there like that. There we go. No, not there. Not there. I didn't even click there. Stupid thing. And then there. We do the same thing here. Oh, lovely. Oh, look at everything. Oh, it's all spinny roundy and good and stuff. But is it going to work? There's only one way to find out. However, in order to find out, that leads me to a whole new problem. And that is I don't actually have any items in my storage system to test. And I really could do with items in the storage system to be able to send to this to see if it works. So I'm going to have to go and put some items in the storage system. The items we're going to throw into the storage system are going to be slabs and barrels. And then we can auto craft a few vaults. Okay, first things first then. Let's get all the items we want to shove into storage actually into storage by doing that. Then what I want to do is get behind. I can't get behind it anymore. Oh, geez. Well, I need access point. Can we go behind? Oh, geez. Am I supposed to get behind for maintenance? What idiot put all of this in the way? I need to get behind so I can click on him with the stock ticker. And then a stock link, and then the factory gauges. There we go. No, I don't need the maintenance anymore. You can go back together again. Right, let's check those items are in the system. They are. We've got a whole bunch of slabs and a whole bunch of barrels and a few of the other things I've been testing. That means back over here at our crafting area, I can throw down a blaze burner and a stock ticker so we can see what's in here. And then I'm going to throw down a very temporary little pile of cardboard there. And we need a few of these factory gauges on here. We need one for slabs. We need one for barrels. And then we need one for vaults. And the vault's going to be connected to the barrels and to the slabs. It's then going to be set to use crafting. Why is it? What? Where's my use crafting system? Oh, I'm dumb. Iron sheet, not slabs. How did I forget that? Oh, geez. I've been playing this game too long. I'm forgetting things that are obvious. I've got to get some iron sheet. And then if we attach that to that, now we can use mechanical crafting. We can send it to FNT Craft, which is this frog over here. And we can see if this works. Now, I only want to send one for now. So I'll have one item and we'll see what happens. That should start calling stuff from the system. So we should hopefully see it winging its way over here somehow or other. I don't know what direction it's going to come from. But here it goes. It's gone in the frog. Is it going to get repackaged? It is. It goes around there. It's gone into there. That's doing things. Oh, I've never seen that before. I may have slightly broke it a bit. I don't know where those items have gone, but they have definitely gone. Erase your promise, and then we can send another one, please. Where did those items go, though? I mean, they look like they went into the packager, but packagers can't take items, so that's kind of weird. There we go. The items are coming. The other items are coming. They're getting repackaged. They're going round. Oh, they went in that one, and it fell on the floor. Okay, that's fine. Not a problem. That means we do actually need to go out of the bottom one. That's absolutely fine. And that should do that. I believe everything's now facing the right direction. And I think the reason the package didn't go in here is because somehow that had items in it from the other thing. I don't know how or where they've gone, but I'm going to remove those and then stick them back on again and hope that solves the problem. So now let's come and get rid of that promise and let the system send another couple of items through and see what happens. The packages are on their way. The frog's got them. They're being repackaged. They're going on there. They've gone in the second one again. But there we go. Vault went in there. It did it. That was very fast. Now that all you got to do is send them away, frog. There we go. It did. Why did it skip this one? I think I've really upset this crafter. I think there's items stuck in it. Oh, there they are. Yep, somehow they were in the bottom one. We fixed it, peeps. Don't worry. So now all of that's done. Let's see what happens if we ask for a stack of them. What could possibly go wrong? Let's see if this system can actually cope with crafting multiple things at once, which is the whole point of having it. Here we go. It's getting items coming through. They are getting repackaged. The problem is that it takes so long for them to actually get to the machine that the crafter's done before the frog's got all of the items in it. So we're only actually using one crafter. Huh. I guess I didn't think about that. But we are making vaults. Slowly but surely. So I guess we could say that's a roaring success. And if you're thinking, well, what's the point in having all of those crafters if you can only get one set of items through there at a time? Well, of course, shut up. If we're sending a whole bunch of things to these crafters from our storage network, then we're going to get a backup of things over here actually trying to come in, which probably means that having a single frog and a single unpackager is not going to be able to supply 8 different crafters. So chances are we do need a system in place to actually repackage things multiple times and have multiple frogs coming into this thing. I think that makes sense. So what I'm going to do is something a little bit different. That is to add 9 frogs on here. We've got 9 input frogs. We've still got 1 output frog. Each of the input frogs has a repackager on the back of it that is activated. So that means we can get up to 9 packages at a time going around this thing, which you might say, well, that's too many. You've only got 8 crafters. But I think that should now be quick enough to deal with the 8 crafters, considering there's a delay getting the items in. Of course, we've then got our output frog just step back a little bit right at the end of this conveyor, tidying things up a little bit. And that means now what I can do when I'm sending these packages, instead of sending them to FNT Craft, I can send them to FNT Craft Star, and it will go to any one of these. So if any of these are full or free to process something, they can do that. Here come the packages. And there we go. They got by the middle frog for some reason. I don't know why. But there they're going in. And yet we're still only going fast enough for 1 crafter to be being used, because the packages are just not coming from the storage system quick enough. So we could speed this up, actually, thinking about this, if we had multiple of these factory gauges. So let's just stop this again for a second. And there we go. They're all now set up exactly the same. If I now suggest that I need... Oh, the thing is, though, there's not really enough in the machine to send it all. But I was going to say, if I set all of these up to maybe do 5 items each, as quick as I can, we should start getting a lot more items being sent through at once. And hopefully that can actually do a little bit of testing on our frogs. We should get a lot more packages coming through now. There we go. Yes, multiple packages all coming through for crafting. And now we can... Yes, there we go. The frogs are working hard together. Oh, but then we've got a new problem. Because some of the frogs are going to pick up some of the packages. And some of the frogs are going to pick up the other of the packages. So really, we need a whole bunch of frogs on a big old vault that's got all of the... Oh, jeez. Why everything so stupid? Okay, now we have 9 frogs on a ginormous vault, which can actually contain all of the packages that we're going to be calling from. We've still got all of this behind here, and this should work significantly better, even though it's a whole bunch uglier. And it doesn't allow me to see what's in there, to see if any packages haven't been able to be repackaged and then got stuck in there, which is not ideal. Let's actually start calling for some more vaults by removing the vaults from the system and see if this thing can actually keep up with it this time. Fingers crossed it can, and fingers crossed we don't just get loads of stuff stuck in there. Here come the items. Are we gonna craft more than one thing at once this time? The frogs are all going for it. They're loving it when we are getting things coming out. Yes, multiple things at once, and that means... Oh, wow, it's already done. But yeah, we use multiple crafters. But are there any packages still left in here? Doesn't seem that way. And that means it worked. Hurrah! We now have a bulk crafting setup, which is the most ugly thing I've seen, because it's got this giant vault stuck in front of it. Oh, jeez. Anyway, now that that's done, we've now completed every single one of our bulk processing tasks, which means we've only got a handful of things left to make. And most of those, I mean, to be honest with you, can just be sent through our main thing. We're going to need a mixing system for that, and for that, which is nice and easy. Barrels we can just send through our crafting systems, which is nice and easy. The same for vaults, the same for golden carrots, and the same for electron tubes. We do need a track maker, and we need a precision mechanism maker. That's it. But unfortunately, we're going to have to wait for the next episode to see that in action. Well, we'll be finishing off this workshop, getting all of our items sent over to our storage system, and getting a big old completely automated processing system set up for all of the items I want manufacturing in bulk, which is basically everything. So don't miss that one.